Hey soulmates, what's going on? I thought I'd hit you guys up with some thoughts about the new Fantastic Four figures that just got announced. And I gotta say that I'm kind of excited about these. Now, when I looked at these figures a little closer, I noticed that these all look like re-releases of the Walgreens Exclusives they did a while back, and there's a few changes. It looks like the Thing has a different head, the Invisible Woman has a different head sculpt too. The Human Torch, it's honestly a little harder to tell whether or not he's got a new head sculpt, but I think it's the same head sculpt. It's just that he has all the flames around his shoulders, but he doesn't have the flame around his legs anymore. And then of course, Mr. Fantastic. He comes with a lab coat and lab coat arms, but he's also got interchangeable arms that have the little stretchy fingers on them. Now, something else that's really exciting is that besides the Fantastic Four figures, we also get Psycho Man and the High Evolutionary. And you know what? I'm pretty excited about those. I like those character choices. I wouldn't have thought of them, honestly. So now I guess comes the point where I talk about what I like about these and what I don't like. And I'm gonna say right off the bat that I really like the Thing's new head sculpt. It feels much more like the Thing than the Walgreens Exclusive did. The Walgreens Exclusive's head felt a little flat with the grimace that he was making, but when you look at Ben Grimm here grimacing, ooh, yeah, it's got that nice wide-mouthed expression that you see in the comics. It looks really good. I can't even be mad about the body because the Thing's body is already perfect. How do you improve on perfection? And you know what? I'm kind of ambivalent about the new Invisible Woman's head sculpt. I like it. It's a good battle face, but I also liked the Walgreens Exclusive head because I thought that the resting face looked very good on her. Sometimes it's just nice to have a battle face and a resting face for your heroes, you know, because sometimes you might not always want them to be at battle. Sometimes you might want them to just be relaxing. Something I really like about this Invisible Woman figure is the inclusion of this force field that she's forming. That little accessory there adds a lot to her, I think, and I think that's something that we've been missing from a lot of Invisible Woman action figures. It's nice to see that aspect of her powers manifested here on this action figure. I really like it. And you know what? The Human Torch is okay. He looks a little bit more like his comics representation than the Walgreens Exclusives did. The head, I think, is pretty much the same. It's kind of hard to tell on the Walgreens Exclusive's head because it's such a bright color and it's hard to make out the expressions, but I think it's pretty much the same head. I also feel like the detail on the Walgreens Exclusives is a little better on the legs. They added these plastic flames that you can tack onto the legs here, but I don't think it looks as good as it does when they sculpt it on. Also, judging by the packaging of the Human Torch here, he doesn't come with the fireballs like he did when he was the Walgreens Exclusives, so I'm kind of missing that too because I thought that that looked really good. Those fireballs that you could tack on those hands, they looked awesome on the Walgreens Exclusives. I mean, come on, man. It just feels so Human Torch for Johnny Storm to be floating so high above the ground with fire swirling around his hands. Oh, come on, man, that's badass. And now we've got Mr. Fantastic, aka Reed Richards, in his lab coat here. And you know what? I like it. I like what they've done with it. It's about time we get a Reed Richards in his lab coat, because that's something that we don't see really represented in the toys very often. Apparently, you can take off Mr. Fantastic's arms and the lab coat, and then put another set of arms on him to make him look more like when he's going into battle in the comic books with the Fantastic Four and stuff. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay. I'm not in love with it. I really wish that they had included some stretchy attachments for him, because those long fingers, they look kind of dumb, right? I think they look kind of dumb. They probably have something to do with the comics or something, but I just think they look kind of dumb here, because it's the only stretchy part they have on him. I mean, come on. He's Mr. Fantastic. Give us the best representation of his stretching powers that you can possibly give us. And I feel like that would be better served by the stretchy attachments in the Walgreens Exclusive. Now, I'm absolutely going to say that I like the design on the Fantastic Four's costume so much better here than on any representation of the Fantastic Four we've gotten in recent memory, because that white and that blue just works. I don't know why they keep trying to force the black and blue look on us, because it just doesn't work well as a design. Blue for all you guys who have studied design out there, is a really dark value color, right? And when you try to pair with black, yeah, it kind of blends together because black is also, the darkest of values. So it doesn't look the best, but the blue on the white, oh yes, mwah, mwah. Oh, I love it. I do have to say that for the most part, this looks like the Fantastic Four that I know and love. There's a few things that kind of disappoint me, like the choices they made for Mr. Fantastic, which I think are probably the most disappointing of all, followed by the Human Torch. But otherwise, I think this is a really nice set of 4 figures, and I'm kind of tempted to get them. I don't know about you guys, but I think I might be getting these because I really like the look of them. And besides the Fantastic Four figures, it looks like we're getting Psycho Man, who looks terrific, honestly. I have nothing bad to say about this figure. And then the High Evolutionary, I don't really have that many opinions about because I'm not that familiar with the character. But after doing a quick Google search of the character, it looks like they've nailed the look of him perfectly. He looks exactly like how he looks in the comics. So this figure, again, is awesome, just like Psycho Man is. Great work on this, Hasbro. You guys nailed it. Looking at High Evolutionary here, you kind of have to admire all the little details you see on him, like the ridges on his legs and arms, and the studs on his tunic. Oh, and the details on his head, too. Just all those little lines and everything. Yeah, they really outdid themselves on this guy. And you know what? I feel the same about Psycho Man here. All those little bars that they put over the figure, and all the little details and ridges and folds on the clothes, and the head sculpt. I mean, these are really, really nice villains that they did here. It's like I say, these heroes gotta have somebody to have some conflict with, am I right? Now, with all the praise out of the way, I have to say that something that really disappoints me is that they're more or less just recycling the Walgreens figures for a Fantastic Four line, right? I feel like with them recycling figures like this, that they should belong in a standard Marvel Legends line. I would think that that would belong a little better instead of just recycling sculpts and everything. With a package like this, it feels like they're offering premium figures because they're not doing Build-A-Figure or anything like that. When I see a package that doesn't involve standard Marvel Legends packaging, it feels like they're doing really premium stuff, am I right? Like Spider-Man the Animated Series and Fantastic Four and whatever else they choose to do. Well, these are just reused sculpts from the Walgreens Exclusive, so I feel like I'm being gypped a little bit because I want new sculpts if they're going to put them on a premium card. Also, I don't like it when they use these animated boxes like this and they're not doing actual animated versions of the figures. If you guys have ever actually seen the Fantastic Four animated series, they don't really look anything like this, right? They look very much more stylized, very much more simple. Obviously, they don't look as detailed as the figures do here. So if they're actually going to do figures based on this packaging that was based off of the animated series, I wish that they would just do animated series style figures, because that animated series they did of the Fantastic Four back in the mid-90s, it didn't have a lot of episodes, but it had a wealth of characters to play around with. And it's just like that with Spider-Man too. They make all these different versions of all these characters, and some of them are animated versions, some of them are not animated versions. I mean, pick one and stick with it. It's really jarring to look at a line of figures and see a bunch that are based on the animated series, and see some that are based on the comic books, and you know what? I wish they would just pick one and stick with it. You know what Hasbro should do? They should do an entire 18-figure wave of Fantastic Four Marvel Legends, and then include that new Galactus they just made as a Build-A-Figure. Oh, that would be epic. Could you imagine that? That would be the most epic Build-A-Figure ever. I mean, come on. Hasbro, they can make it happen. They could do it. If you support what I do, please be sure to click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video when I release them. And if you want to hang out with me and my other soulmates on Twitch, I stream Sunday through Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be back again with some new opinions, soulmates, and until then, with love from me to you, bye-bye.